Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss the 2019 remake of The Lion King, starring Donald Glover, Beyonce Knowles Carter, Seth Rogen, Chiwetel Ejiofor, John Oliver, John Cannell, Billy Eichner, Alfre Woodard, and James Earl Jones, and directed by Jon Favreau, the same director as this another Disney remake that I really enjoyed so much. And I have reviewed another movie of his before. When it gets to the holidays, maybe I'll think about reviewing this movie. Before I get into this movie, I unproudly, not too proudly, saw this movie 3 times. And why not proudly? Well, when I get to this review, I'll tell you. But I did see one of them in the IMAX showing. This was my third viewing. Second viewing was in 3D just so I could take notes on it. And the first viewing was on regular while I was at San Diego Comic-Con. And what do I think of it? Let's get straight into this movie. The opening song screwed up how the original movie soundtrack sounds. And all the songs being sung by different actors is throwing me off throughout the movie. But don't get me wrong, this movie looks beautiful and breathtaking, but it's hard to tell who's who in fight scenes, and these characters don't have facial expressions, and that was a real problem. Scar, voiced by Chiwetel Ejiofor, is definitely no Jeremy Irons, and his take on this character is not quite as menacing as Mufasa, reprised by James Earl Jones. Didn't sound too happy to be back in this world. And I realized this movie is almost kind of shot for shot. There's some different things as a remake. That doesn't really need to be remade, but it did, which is a bad idea. Zazu, voiced by John Oliver, did feel completely clueless. I just gotta say, that character Zazu, just very clueless. Rafiki, and here's clueless casting right here. Rafiki, voiced by John Connie, who was King T'Chaka in this movie. And this guy is no Robert G.B.M.H. And his take is just fine, but the biggest problem is no facial expressions. Once again, and this movie is throwing me off guard. Simba as a cub is cute looking, as Mufasa shows him around the Pride Rock, and I'll give it that. And I'll also give this movie its visuals are gorgeous looking, and if you were to see it anywhere, and I did see it 3 times, see it in IMAX, because the cinematography is breathtaking. But giving it a almost shot-for-shot remake and lack of a good story is rather baffling to me. Simba and Nala as a cub go to the land of the hyenas, and Mufasa saves Simba and Nala and gives the hyenas a talking to about ever touching his son again, because Simba wants to be brave. Worked so much better in the original, and so did Mufasa giving Simba talking to about bravery versus being scared. It was all handled better in the original than here. Scar's evil song is much better sung by Jeremy Irons, and I was missing his charisma as Scar, whereas Chiwetel Ejiofor is good at times as Menace, but here he just sounds plain, unfortunately. Scar takes Simba to a place where he improves his roar, and come on, if you saw the original, you knew what's coming, like the pile of those animals with horns will come down thanks to the hyenas, and Mufasa and Zazu come to the rescue because of Scar, and Mufasa does eventually get killed by Scar, and everyone feared it would make them cry. But if you saw the original quite a few times like I have, it won't make you cry. I mean, come on. Because it didn't make me cry. I didn't cry once in this movie. And Scar tells Simba to run away and never return, and Scar orders the hyenas to kill him, and they chase him after Simba, and he knocks one down, and with him a couple of the hyenas don't jump down and just let him go. The original had a reason, but here they just let him go, and it pretty much bothered me. And Simba walks at a desert in which I was led to believe he was going to believe it was Egypt, until he lies down from thirst and starvation. And come on, he would have died by that point. That was bothering me too. Timon, voiced by Billy Eichner, and Pumbaa, voiced by Seth Rogen, saves Simba from being eaten by some vultures, and these two have nothing compared to Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella. I mean, they do steal the show at times too, and Pumbaa was the best thing about the original, in my opinion. But now, I mean, even though they steal the show, they're okay at best. Here, and Billy Eichner is not very good at Nathan Lane's role in the original, and the song Hakuna Matata is now ruined and destroyed by this movie. Eventually, Simba is grown up and is voiced by Donald Glover, who I didn't mind in these two movies. But here, he voiced Simba fine at best, and as a lion, but Nala as a lion, voiced by Beyonce, is again just fine. But I do like her singing voice better than his, I must confess. I'm sorry, Donald, but I don't know. But again, it's like shot like the original movie. Timon and Pumbaa almost gets eaten by Nala until Simba fights and recognizes Nala, while Rafiki finds out Simba is alive and well. Rafiki finds Simba, after he and Nala have an argument about Simba to come back as king, and I think Rafiki is inspiring Simba to be king was better earned than the original, but not here. Mufasa telling Simba to remember who he was is not the same, and Simba does eventually go back find Nala to help him go back to Pride Rock and fight Scar for the kingdom, with Timon, Pumbaa, Zazu, which that's new, and Rafiki, and the lioness on their side against Scar and the hyenas. And they each do their part in the fight. And my problem, as I brought up before, I can't tell which lion is which. Especially when we get to the Simba versus Scar fight. My God, it was hard for me to follow that. And that bothered me, and I can't tell Simba or Scar apart when they fight each other at the final fight, and Simba claims what belongs rightfully to him, and he and Nala get married and have a cub of their own. And I thought, oh great, this is going to get a sequel that I did not want in the first place. Oh my God, I wish I didn't see that. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 4.1 out of 10. This is almost a shot-for-shot remake that is really unnecessary, but it's much better than that shot-for-shot remake of Psycho from 1998. The visuals are breathtakingly beautiful, and the characters are fine at best, and the actors portraying them are not as good as in the original. If you plan on seeing this at all, see it in IMAX. Otherwise, if you love the original as much as I do, don't bother with this. And my God, did I wish I didn't want to see this. But I didn't have a choice because I have this show. So, I would like to thank you guys for joining me on the Lion King adventure. And until next time, Hakuna Matata.